What's up, guys? It's me again, Christian Rodriguez, and today I'm going to talk about my experience with solo traveling. And I personally think every man should do it, right? And I solo traveled. So I've been traveling for a little bit. I would say like the first time I left the continent was when I was in high school on a trip to Europe, to Italy, and that kind of got me an exposure of like another culture that wasn't American, or it also wasn't Dominican, which is, I'm Dominican. I grew up in a Dominican household, so that was the only other culture I was exposed to outside of American culture. And then from there, I remember when I was in college, I studied abroad, right? I went to Luxembourg, went to other places in Europe, and I also studied abroad in India. And it was a free trip because the school paid for it as a scholarship, right? It was great. It was a cool experience. And then I had other like types of travels, right? But as I mentioned before, for those of you guys who don't know me, I do train combat sports. Like I train jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, stuff like that. And I remember I ended up like I saw this retreat, this opportunity of like a martial arts retreat, like an MMA retreat in Vietnam, right? And like everyone, I remember my mother was like trying to discourage me. I was living with my parents at the time. My mother was like discouraging me, like you shouldn't go, like it's dangerous, or like whatever. And I don't blame her because it kind of sounds insane, right? Like going to like another country, the other side of the world, and you don't know anyone, you don't even speak the language. For most people, that's terrifying, right? And guess what I did? I ended up going anyway. And the best part about it was I had a layover on the way there. It was like a long layover in Qatar, in Doha, and I ended up walking around in Qatar by myself. I ended up going to Vietnam, train at this cool gym, and then I ended up doing another week in Thailand, right? And then I went home. And it was eye-opening because what it made me realize is that I don't really need other people to travel with, right? Like I don't really to like enjoy to enjoy do something enjoyable. I don't really need other people to do it. Like I enjoy my own company, right? It also made me realize how independent I am, or independent I can be, right? It also like teaches you. It also forces you to become more charismatic. Like build more social skills because you're constantly meeting new people, so it just makes you a better communicator. And there were just things that I noticed from it. Like it was just, I also noticed I started having like a more positive outlook on life, and I was just like, I don't really need to wait for people to do things. I could just start doing it, right? Now, if someone happens to want to join me on a trip in the future, and I enjoy their company, then yeah, that's great. The more the merrier. But the thing I noticed about solo travel is that I get to experience it anyway. And you get a different type of experience because you're also meeting other like-minded people who are doing the same thing, that are also solo traveling from other countries or even from your own country, right? And that's the thing. Another thing that it made me realize how much my current friends were not good for me, because when I was solo traveling, it almost created like a contrast effect, and it made me realize how different I was from my friends, right? Or like it created a effect in the way that the people that I met were like hyping me up, and they actually treated me better than my own friends at home, right? And they treated me like how I was at that present moment, not like how I was when I was in college, right? Or in high school. That's the thing. It made me think, and I was like, wait a minute. How come these people that I just met in another country, right? They were basically strangers, but they're treating me better, and they're respecting me more than my old friends. And that's what it made me realize. Okay, I gotta sever ties. I gotta cut these people off. And I don't think I would have realized that if I never experienced solo traveling. And the point of why I'm talking about why men should do it is because men need to first of all, men need to experience being comfortable by themselves. I think solo traveling automatically does that for you. It automatically does that. It makes you more independent. It makes you more. It makes you build more. How do you? What's the word I'm trying to look for? It makes you build more situational awareness for safety, right? So you're in a foreign country, right? You're not gonna walk around at night because you don't know if it gets dangerous. Obviously, if you're in Tokyo, it's safer than if you were in Sao Paulo, Brazil, right? At night. Like, I remember being in Paris. I wasn't up at 2 in the morning, out drinking. I didn't even drink, but I was maybe I'll have like a wine, but I would go to bed at like 10. I would go to bed at maybe 11, latest maybe 12, and then get up in the morning and go to the gym or work out in my room, do some calisthenics, and then go sightseeing the entire day. And it's actually fun because you really do meet like interesting people when you travel. You meet interesting people. You meet all types of people. Like, I remember I even met like a successful couple, and the guy was telling me how he sold his company. And there's a successful couple. It was in Japan. It was like a random place in Japan. We were like sitting at a bar, and the guy was from Miami. He was American, and that's why we were talking to each other, because we were American. And I found out that he sold his company, and yeah, he appeared he was doing well for himself, and that right there like inspired me. And I was just like, if I never did this by myself, I doubt I would have like had this situation happening to me, right? I wouldn't have been talking to this person. And that's the thing. It also like gets you comfortable with like uncertainty, right? Because remember when I first landed in Tokyo, Japan, by myself, I got lost. I didn't speak the language. I was jet lagged. I was tired. I wanted to go. I wanted to eat, and I wanted to leave my heavy ass luggage and my heavy ass bag in the hotel, right? I remember I'm leaving the airport. I take the metro, right? The Tokyo Metro. And I took the wrong train, and I was lost. I was completely lost, and I was asking for directions, but no one spoke English. It was actually kind of fun, like, thinking about it now. And I wasn't panicking, but it was just like, oh man, it was a little frustrating, but at the same time, it was kind of cool, because it was just like, man, I got lost in a situation. I ended up in a situation that most people fear when they go to a foreign country. And guess what? I survived. I still found out. I ended up finding my hotel anyway. And I went and I was able to enjoy the trip, right? And that's the thing. That's stuff like that can happen. And it's actually not that big of a deal. Obviously, you need to have some sort of rules for yourself. But I think that it teaches you more social intelligence. It teaches you, like I said, how to be more independent. You can hit the gym. You make your own rules. That's the thing. You also make your own rules, and it makes you realize you don't need other people to do things. Like, you don't need to wait for your friend to take a week off of work so you could go to Europe for a week, right? Like, obviously that's really it. Like, that's like a big factor of it, because I know a lot of people that stop themselves from doing what they want to do because they're depending on another person, which is never going to happen, right? It's never going to happen. If I decided to go to an MMA retreat in Vietnam, I doubt any one of my friends at the time and even family members would have gone with me to Vietnam. No one would have gone with me, especially to train martial arts. That's a very niche thing to do. That's not like something that most people are down to do, right? And then going to Thailand and doing the same thing, training Muay Thai in the 95-degree heat with 100% humidity, right? No one would have been down for that, right? And that's the thing. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it better because of it, right? When you're traveling with other people, many times you're stuck in a bubble, right? Especially people that aren't used to traveling, and maybe they have a smaller comfort zone than you are. That you're almost put into like some sort of bubble, right? and you feel that bubble. So you're not really like talking to other people. You're not as approachable. You're just seen as like an American tourist. So you get a different type of experience out of it, right? And it's almost like isolating, especially if you experience solo traveling. And you would know what I mean if you solo traveled and then you go to talk with your old friends again, or you travel with like friends that don't have the same threshold of comfort zones. At least that's a probably I'm probably butchering the way to say it, but they have like a smaller comfort zone than you. You will feel like there's a limit. You would feel like you're limited, right? And that's like the worst feeling when you feel limited to what you can do when you're traveling. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Thank you guys so much. I'm gonna keep creating more content. Subscribe and take care.